Hey guys, what's up? It's Lizzy Jane. We're back with another podcast this week. G-Rex joined me in the conversation today. We talk about everything from the Peekaboo Black Hole Tour. We did a few dates together to what is up next for the G-Rex project. He's taken a bit of time off of shows. However, he's coming back next month swinging with Bass Canyon into a massive tour for the fall and spring season. You'll hear all about it in the conversation today. It was great to hear about his journey as a producer from starting in 2011 with hip hop beats into trap, into freeform and experimental type bass music that led him to WAKAAN in 2017, 2018, before all of that really rose up to the forefront. And now obviously WAKAAN is everywhere. So it was great to hear about his journey with them. Don't forget, you can always listen to these episodes ad-free, commercial-free, only on my Patreon at www.patreon.com/thisisLizzyJane. We have a bunch of stuff on my site over there, vocal packs, sample packs. So make sure to click the link in the description, head over there, check it out. And last but not least, if you love what we're doing here, if you're learning information, if you're loving the guests I have on, make sure to share this with your friends, leave a comment, rate it on Apple Podcasts, tag me, tag the guest, let me know who you want to see come on the podcast. And I promise you, with your support, I will make it happen. I hope you guys have been having a stellar week, and I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode. So without further ado, this is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into another podcast with G-Rex in the mix. Have a great week, guys. See you soon. The show today was brought to you by Vitaplur E-Boost Gum. With no pill to take or powders to mix, Vitaplur E-Boost Gum is a first-of-its-kind energy rave supplement that provides magnesium, electrolytes, and antioxidants while you chew. Vitaplur is the perfect complement to my active lifestyle, whether it's at the festival, on the road touring, or hitting the gym. Chew Vitaplur and dance with confidence. Use code LizzyJane for 10% off any order.
But, Jake, thank you for coming on today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you newly moved to Denver?
Yeah, December.
Yep. Everyone's coming here, man. I had Omar Kamari on here last week. He had just moved here with his girl. It's really becoming like a destination spot.
Yeah. That's nice. It's been cool.
It is cool. Where did you move from?
Detroit.
Yeah. Okay. Detroit's cool too. Definitely different, but definitely you and Peekaboo and Sully and you guys all started there, right?
Yep.
I've heard the college stories and the frat houses and the trap music, and then all of a sudden you guys just started making music together, which is super crazy. But for all those listening, this is G-Rex, new Denver native. I feel like everybody's just moving here, and it's becoming this huge eclectic place for like creative artists and painters and all of that stuff. So it's gonna be cool to see like the development of it. I'm like, if you're gonna go to LA, just go to Denver.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, especially for bass music. So what has your summer looked like? What have you been up to this summer? How've shows been, music been?
It's been pretty light for touring lately. I'm gearing up. I'm gonna do co-headline tour with Tvboo.
Oh, that's exciting. Love him. Oh.
Starting in fall and winter. So right now we're working on music for that, and then getting all the dates and everything settled in, and actually just started picking up back on doing some shows.
Nice.
Kansas City last weekend, Minneapolis this weekend, the Ritz.
Yep, there we go. Oh, good old Ritz.
And then, and then I go to Germany after that for some shows.
That's exciting.
Canyon and some stuff, a little break after that, and then, the tour fires up, so.
Bass Canyon will be fun. This is my first time. I have this thing in the back of my mind where I'm like, certain festivals I won't go to until I get booked to play them, because I really want to experience it, like, fully through, or I know if I go to an event, I'm just going to be like, fuck, I wish I was playing, like, da-da-da-da.
Are you going to stay the full time?
I'm going to stay for 2 days. Good. So, we're going to do some podcasts, and you've played before, right?
Yes.
So, that venue just looks surreal.
It's the nicest outdoor venue I've ever seen in my life.
And it's crazy because, like, Red Rocks here, I feel like I hear about Red Rocks and then I hear about the Gorge.
Yeah.
And it's like those are the two outdoor venues that are just like superior above like any other club music venue in general.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah,
and it's like bass music. You know, it's because I know Insomniacs like does events there. They do Beyond Wonderland. They do a lot of that Seattle, Oregon area stuff at the Gorge. But additionally, to have it just be an Excision Fest is going to be insane.
Yep. You'll have a great time.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I can't wait. Do you know what day you're playing yet?
Saturday.
Saturday? Okay, cool. Yep. I'm playing Friday. Are you going for the whole time? Is it a thing that you normally go?
I went the one time I did play, I did like the full thing, pre-party to the end.
Okay.
Ended up
That's
camping.
A lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was very fun, but it was a lot. This year I have shows before it, so I'm kind of in and out.
Yes.
But
which I feel like as you become more seasoned, that is normally the rotation where you're just not trying to completely burn yourself out. I feel like the first time, like I did Lost Lands last year when I played all 4 days and I hadn't done a festival, especially post-COVID, the whole time until that fest. And I was just like, this is a lot. I don't know how everyone does the pre-party to the last day, to the afters, to the Renegade sets. And it's just like a marathon.
Yeah. And that Lost Lands was like crazy because after like the hiatus, everyone was like, ready. So
and I feel like it's something where everybody goes for like almost the whole time because you're like in the middle of nowhere. It's all your friends. It's like a homie fest. And I feel like Bass Canyon will be kind of similar as far as like everyone elevating in bass music. But that's super exciting to hear you're taking shows again.
Yep.
You got a new headline tour, co-headline with Tvboo coming up. I saw him make a tweet yesterday where he was like, we just wrote like this like 2014 trap banger. Yeah, which is I feel like it's totally up his alley. So tell me about like how your progression in production has started. Like, did you start making bass music or were you like all over the place? Let me just learn.
Started in 2011 after I went to the first Electric Forest and got experienced that. I was like, oh, I want to make bad music. So like really all the Excision was the first act I ever saw. Just seeing all the heavy stuff. And I was like, okay, I want to do that. So then I sat down and tried to make the heavy and it's so hard. And it was
so hard.
Yeah, I realized that's not exactly a good starting point. At that point, luckily, I had a lot of friends that were doing rapping and stuff, so started doing rap beats. And kind of started there and learning Ableton. And then about 2014 is when trap started blowing up.
Yeah.
And then, from doing hip hop and then doing that, I was like, oh, wow, now I can actually make some stuff that can, like, get up to that energy level. And just progressed on that, and then kept making music. Obviously, wrong time, and then I think like 2018 came around, and or 2017, I went to the first Lost Lands.
Okay.
And I saw Hero Bus played some edit of Deep Down Low, and then dropped it into like 40 hertz by Distinct Motive, like the low.
Yeah,
dun.
Yeah.
And I was like, that'd be so sick, like doing that instead of like having it be like more trappier drums with like that low end kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
So like right when I got done, I started making a bootleg of that, and then Tynan was actually in Detroit. He came over and he was like, dude, this is so cool. Can I hop in on it? And me and him finished in like a few hours. And that's like kind of where it just got my brain ticking. Like, what if I do like some deep dub with like trap drums? And that was kind of like, it was at the same time, like I had made that. And then, was linking with Matt and he was sending stuff, like doing kind of stuff in that range too. And started working together. And from there, it's just been progressing off of that.
Absolutely. I feel like that 10-year mark is kind of a sweet spot for a lot of producers that I've talked to, where from the ground to I don't know what the fuck I'm doing to okay, I've found my sound that I want to establish myself with. I have the craft kind of at least to a point where you're happy with the music you're putting out.
Yeah.
It's that 8 to 10 year spot to really get everything into line. And it's just so crazy because I feel like it's kind of shifted to where even when I got into it a bit after you did, I would say 2017, 2018. Okay. You still had a lot of people who were predominantly like DJs and then we're like, oh, I want to make this. I'm tired of playing other people's music. And now I feel like it's become the opposite because the scene has just expanded so much that everybody knows production is going to take 100 times longer to learn than DJing. Yeah. And I feel like DJing is definitely like an art form, but especially in bass music, the way that I usually explain sets is like the edits, the quickness, like you're going from 1 to 2 to 3 to throw back into one of your own songs, bootlegs, whatever. And it's just like, it's something where I feel like as time goes on, you just have to start. Yeah. And that's the only way that you're going to progress to a point where you're happy with what you're making.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you gone through bouts where you're like, I am so over this, I feel like I can't make music?
Yeah, like every day.
Yeah.
like working
that's a little self-doubt in the back of your head that's like, oh, hey, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's just the most frustrating yet rewarding process ever. Like, when you have those days where you finally, like, get something going that's, like, really happy about, but it'll take sometimes, like, 10 of those days where you're just banging your head on a wall miserable and
yep.
Like, it's a roller coaster, but it's awesome. It's fun, but definitely it's not always fun.
It's so much a roller coaster. And I feel like so much of it is like self-discipline to where even if like you're not feeling it, like just get in your dog. Especially if you're starting. Because it's like becoming an expert at something. You have to do, I don't know, what is it, 10,000 hours, 20,000 hours. And even if you're making edits, even if you're just going in and just like doing referencey thingies or making like a drum loop or a drum flow, it's still putting in the time and it's putting in the hours in the doc.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Like, especially when you're like starting off, it's like that closing that gap of like what idea you have in your head and then knowing the program and your tools well enough to like bridge that gap.
Yeah.
And so like just spending all that time to learn the software and stuff is like so important, especially like the grind time early. I feel like once you like put that and kind of connect that, then sometimes you like need to let yourself breathe once you get to that creative point to like come back to it and re-love it and whatnot. But like definitely that early stage, it's just nothing but learn.
And it's like making sure you don't lose that creative bug all the while learning all the technical shit that you kind of sort of have to know in order to like make something sound presentable or make the decision to completely like break those rules and throw them out. You have to at least know like the basis when it comes to like your frustrations. I personally get super stuck on like mixing down as I'm going.
Yeah.
Would you say that you get more frustrated in the production process when you feel like you can't find a flow, or is it more so like I can't get this mixed down to sound how I want it?
More the production, like
the
actually
production, okay.
like getting to like the sound design and like how I want to like sculpt it. Mixing is like fun something. I don't know. It's not. Mixing is like a little bit more fun to me. And like
really,
it's not as like I thought. Like draining.
Yeah.
Like I can like write or like I like to write in the morning when I'm like fresh and then like mix at night when I'm like more burnt out, but like it's less for me to think about. I just use my ears. And
that's so interesting. It's so crazy because everybody has like so much of a different production process.
Yeah.
Like when they work the best, when they want to do the mixing, if they are doing any of the engineering. I've talked to like producers that just strictly write and they don't do gain staging. They don't look at the decibel levels and then they have somebody do it out. And then I've met people where it's like, do you do all your sound design in another section, save it in the keys, whatever, or are you making everything in the same project?
Everything in the same project.
Oh my God. That's fucking wild. Oh, that's amazing that you're able to like keep that creative flow. Cause I feel like when you know how you get to a point, and I feel like it's only after you've been producing for so long, you hear in your head like what you want to create, and then you finally have the capability to create it. And it's like when you have that one sound in your head, you're like, God damn it, I can't go further until I master like that sound that I hear that I want to emulate off of whatever VST. Would you say you use Serum, Massive, Vital? What's your fave?
All audio samples.
Really?
Yeah.
You're exactly like Matt.
Yeah.
I know. When Matt told me that, I was like, bro.
We're the same when we produce. Like, it's very just like audio samples and manipulating them and resampling them, but like it's very minimal like synthesis. Like, I'm not very knowledgeable or good in that region, and I think like that really helped me like level up when I found out that like everyone was so good at Serum and like trying to compete with that and realize that that wasn't what I was good at.
No, and that, I think exactly what you just said is a huge problem that a lot of beginners have, because there are stigmas out there that like you should be making your own drums, you should be making your sounds from 2 sine waves, and that's not the truth. Like, we're in one of these, I would say, fields where there are literally 200 ways to do one thing. And the way that you audio resample, you do your post-processing, that created like your sound. And I would debatably say there's less people who go about it the way that you do than the amount of people who say, oh, I need to design all my shit from scratch in Serum.
Yeah. I mean, I think like obviously majority of the listeners care about the product and not the process.
Yep.
And I think that a lot of producers get carried out and think that like, everyone cares about the process.
Well, they're producing for other producers.
Yeah,
and it's like, at the end of the day, like, there's definitely, I would say, more producers in the crowd than ever before, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's also like, hey, you're producing for club environments, festivals environments.
Yeah.
Like, I think there was so much of a worrisome part through COVID because people weren't listening to music that you produced or I produced in the kitchen and whatever, because
it didn't have context.
Yep, because it's meant for live environments, it's meant for raves, it's meant for concerts. And I think the biggest hill that I've gotten over, that I've always like looked at Matt Peekaboo's music, your music, so everybody on like that WAKAAN team is, and even like D Jones is like building on like a simple motif with like subtle additions where like you have that main sound that is like super addictive, and you could be using, you know, different chains to manipulate the sound, but you're not writing like 4 songs in one. No. It's taking a simple idea, which is, it's crazy to think that writing simply is one of the hardest things to do, because your mind always goes, I need to add more, I need to add this, I need to add that. And then when you get to it, it's like mixing down something that has all these elements that are conflicting is like fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it's super difficult when you've got everything so simple. It's easier to make everything bigger.
Yeah.
So like, just big and simple is like kind of the motto for that style in particular.
And you were there, you know, in 2017 when you said you kind of switched more into that experimental. You saw Hero Bus, 40 ounce, like all of that stuff. And do you say that like the growth of WAKAAN and that like experimental base is like, I feel like it's changed the scene like forever.
Yeah, I think it's like cyclical, because I think like, I mean, I got into this in 2011 and it was like the dubstep, like the, you know, bass
bro step, and that bass
trap, and then it went to that bro step like in 2016,
bro safari, all that.
I think like that sound was like really cool, but I think you were hearing so much of it, and 2018 was the year when that kind of shifted and the experimental thing kind of got more like, it was like fresher. And so it'll be interesting what the next thing is. I don't know exactly.
It's very interesting because like I was talking to Kamarion, and I don't consider drum and bass like dubstep, you know what I'm saying? I don't consider it like a subgenre of dubstep. It's a separate thing that's totally of its own, like just as important. But I feel like in my mind, like when I look at everything happening now, I just see drum and bass on the rise. Like I don't see, like we had kind of that like little future rhythm spout where you got all of like the Leatrixes coming in and that stuff, and like that's definitely propelled itself, but I don't foresee it completely taking over like WAKAAN did, like a label did, like maybe in the future. But I do feel like it's definitely a lot bigger than it used to be. But you know, the question you just posed is really good. Like, I don't know what's going to be next.
Yeah.
Because right now, anywhere that you slap WAKAAN onto sells out.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely I would say mainstream bass label now.
Yeah.
Where people used to consider it the underground, and I don't think it's the underground anymore. And
experimental bass.
Yes. Would you like attest to your like journey with WAKAAN, to like a lot of your success and like your fan growth and like a home for your music? Like, how has your experience been with them?
We have Liquid Stranger. I mean, I think he caught wind of me through when we were sending like Babatunde around me and Matt. Matt had released with WAKAAN before, and he had brought up that they wanted Babatunde to have WAKAAN be the home for it.
Yeah, of course.
Like, so I was like, cool. Ended up meeting Liquid, sending him a lot of music, and then he was like, I want to bring him on tour, and then did the Infinity tour, and that definitely like propelled a lot. Going on tour with Champagne, Drip, LS Stream, Lucy, and Martin. Obviously, it was a great just crew.
Look at where everybody is there.
Yeah,
I was talking to Tati Red Drum because she's here now too.
Yep.
And I just said I've paid attention to that tour support for like 3 years now, and everyone who he brings on in the next 1 to, I would say, maybe 2-3 years, completely their career blows up.
Yeah.
And he has a really awesome platform, not only because he can sell the tickets on his own, but he really curates like that next gen of freeform bass music underneath him. And it's like, it's amazing. It's to see like the Smokeland Boys, to see Tati, to see Tvboo. You guys, like, it's wild. Lucid. Like, I remember that tour stop. That's where I met Sully. I remember he was in St. Pete. We all went to go get something after, and it's really, really cool to where now, at Global Dance the other day, he's on stage with Martin playing a collab, and it's like, that's the goal. That's the dream if you're making this type of music. And so tell me the story behind Babatunde. I want to know the story because I've heard it's fairly simple and kind of funny.
Yeah.
But how did you guys go about making the lead? How did you guys go about just arranging everything? It's a very simple song. For any producer listening, like, you've got that simplicity, but it's like so catchy. It's like dun dun dun,
Me and Matt, AT Aliens asked me to do a remix, and I started it and had some really like deep ideas. So I asked Matt if he wanted to work on it with me, and he got on it and made it in like a day, and we were like super excited about it. And like a fun fact, the second drop of it is pretty much Babatunde.
Oh,
like almost
no.
to like a T.
Yeah.
And it's just like a lot lower tempo. But we, week went by and we're like, dude, let's just like, that was so easy. Let's just make an original. And so we just started on it. And at that time, I was living in Detroit. He was living in LA. We just got on Zoom and just like literally just each one of us just Dropbox, Zoom back and forth, adding little pieces to it. And just came together. And when we were done with it, like, didn't really, we were like excited about it, but didn't really like think it would, be what it was, I think. And then started sending it around to bigger artists, and it kind of,
like, everybody wants to play it. It's put in all the sets, and everybody's like, holy fuck, and then it finally comes out.
Yeah.
It's like the Grizztronic effect.
Yeah. Anticipation, we built up a lot on it, which really like helped us,
I feel like that's the States version of like modern day dub plate like culture.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to Funkcase, and he was like, when I was doing this in like the early 2000s, the way that you really built up the anticipation of the track was like sending it to a select few. So he's like, now, if I I get something from my label and it's really hot and I know it's going to be, you know, Welcome Tune or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sending it to Subtronics. I'm sending it to Dr. P. I'm sending it to Excision. Yeah. Maybe 5 more other people. And then it blows up. What the fuck is this? All the like support, smaller DJs get a hold of it. That's blows up. And then you release it. And it's like, yeah, it's like that's so much of what it is, because if you have that memorable sound, which like that sustained bass and Babatunde is like the whole thing where people lose their minds, all that stuff, it becomes very memorable very quickly. It's almost like, I feel like it's equivalent to having like a pop and pre-drop lyric or like a chorus that everybody knows. And that's like what happens in bass music when somebody has like a hit. Yep. You know, you can think of a Subtronics melody or something where you're just like, okay, I know this is him. And then they listen to it and they go, okay, I know this is Tvboo. I know this is G-Rex. And then did you guys all go to college together?
Yeah, so I'm the oldest. I was at Western right when I graduated. When I was a senior, Sully was a freshman.
Oh, okay.
I met him right when he had got there, and then I left. And then basically I was like DJing like house parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And like when I left, there wasn't really like anyone doing it, and that's when like Sully and Matt came in, and like they went from the house parties to like bars and stuff. And we're like actually like making money and for these bars and bringing people in and like doing promoting and stuff like that. So they kind of grew that scene out there. And then I had moved to LA to go to Icon, and when I moved back to Michigan, they moved to LA.
Oh shit!
Like flip-flop. And Sully went to Icon, and right at that point, you know, Matt was working on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's
getting it going.
Well, and it's even like, I know Matt, because when I spoke with him, I was unaware, because I remember I have like my iPod still from like a long ass time ago that I used to just like put songs on, whatever. And I went in my iTunes one day when I saw like Liquid, like Martin pulling up Matt for like at Grand, what is it? The Grand Intersection?
Intersection?
Intersection in Michigan. Yeah. I saw him pull him up for like one of like the first times that Matt really like blew the fuck up. And he was playing like, I think it was like the hide and seek EP, or it was like, yeah, that's what it was. And I looked him up and I was like, he used to make trap music, and he had like, I had like trap music of his on like my computer. And I feel like that whole aspect of like, whether it's the rebrand or the new sound or whatever, is something that was very, very common and still is nowadays, when people, I feel like, get their hold on like what they want to sound like.
Yeah.
And did you always start in Ableton, or because you did hip hop were you in FL?
Always Ableton.
Always Ableton. Okay.
Ableton. Yeah, when I started, I just like Google search like, what does Diplo and Skrillex use? And
yeah.
Like Ableton.
Yeah. That was me. I used Reason. I used like a crack version of Reason for like 2 years, and then somebody was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Go to Ableton," and I went to Ableton. But yeah, that's Ableton. I feel like is just the universal DAW for what we do in general. Do you have an interest in, I know like Mike, he lives in Tampa, Blunts and Blunts.
Yep.
We've had like tons of discussions where now he's kind of gone a bit more into like that rap production scene. Do you have an interest to do that more in the future? 100%. I know you've done it a bit too.
Yeah, 100%. That's like kind of like, I think like when people ask me like what are my like bigger goals, I'd like to like get into like production for like rappers and kind of be like, I'd like to be like in that realm. And like those rap beats are so simple, like it's just getting in the door. If like someone who had like big production, you know, skills can work with like artists like so that quick. Yeah, like it's cool to see like the products. Like obviously like Skrillex is like the GOAT, but like you just see like how powerful his beats are with like big vocalists. It's like if you can put that big sound behind like big voice, it's totally combo.
And you've already seen it too. I mean, I think about what Drake just released. I think about what Beyonce released. I think about Travis Scott like fucking 2-3 years ago. And that was when that was when at least I'm not super cued into the rap scene, But I was listening and I was like, these are fucking EDM beats, like dumbed down. Like these are no longer like hi-hat on 16th notes and just putting an 808 underneath where you're tuning it, doing whatever. And you hit it on the head when you said, you know, bass music is hands down, I will like stand by this to my grave, one of the hardest genres to produce.
Absolutely.
Like it's I feel like I sometimes go in my DAW and like I just start making, now I'm like, okay, don't confine yourself to just making bass music. Like I'll make a lot of stuff in 90 or 128, you know, 110. And it's like you go in to make a tech house song and it's like, of course I think it's harder in a genre like house music to stand out because I would say it's an easier genre to make.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like I can pump out like a hip hop beat or a tech house song in like a day. Whereas like with bass music, I'm like going in a 16-bar loop for like 5 days, trying to fill out all the layers, fill out all the sounds.
Yeah.
Put the orchestral. Look at span, look at the spectrum analyzer, and then it's just crazy. But you get such a skill set with it. And I feel like COVID put it into perspective for a lot of people where you can't just depend on touring anymore, you know? And I think that was always the case, but there was nothing in our lifetime that had happened where it was like, you really can't depend on it. Like you can't. And even now, I mean, I know events aren't doing as well as they used to do.
Yeah.
You know, just simply speaking, because of where our economy's at, where people's priorities are lying. I don't fucking know how the kids in Denver do it. Like, hats off to you guys doing like Red Rocks, Temple, whatever.
Everything sells out here.
And it's like, I don't know.
All the Denver fans, you guys are the best.
Literally, like everything sells out, no matter who it is. It's just like music. Here you go.
Show out.
And it was so crazy even to see like for the Zeds Dead Jamboree. I'm like, this is on the fucking like state capital fucking property. Yeah. Like you would never see something like that in Florida. Slammed. Sold out. And then the next weekend they had like another like punk folk concert. Yeah. And I really do believe the city is like completely ran on music. Yeah. And I don't know how ticket prices are in Michigan, but you know, in Florida, like when you play at the Ritz, like if it's not free guest list, I mean, it's like $20, $25 tickets. That's all the way up the board. That's for Ghastly. That's for Yellow Claw, you know. Yeah. And here, tickets are like $80, $100. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is a difference. This is a change.
And they're selling out and getting resold. Like, you know, I'm like seeing like some of the Red Rocks resale prices that I've seen are like insane.
Stupid. Yeah. I know like Rubes du Sol is coming, Flume's coming. Yeah, it's like $350 after service fees. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'll just go see the Gorillas 2 nights in a row for cheaper than this. And I totally get it. You know, Red Rocks is just this place where I feel like, especially going to concerts, playing concerts is so much of our, you know, career. This show feels like it goes by like that. Yeah. It's like a magical venue. Yeah. I feel like I can see any type of music there, maybe even music that I'm not necessarily a fan of. And it's such a cool environment. The acoustics are so well tuned in. And you're just like in this like Red Rocks like spaceship. And then like the show's over. And it's, you know, it's one of those things that I do believe that more artists are going to move here, are going to be desired to be here in the scene. A lot of people I've talked to that have moved here from LA, like my grandparents who used to live over there, it's like this reminds them of how LA was in like the 1960s and like the 1970s, where like all of these creative like elements are starting to kind of like just blow the fuck up, and people are moving here because it's becoming like a destination spot. Yeah. And I just feel like for like the bass music scene and music in general, it's just like even like things like tomorrow, like Jenga throwing the barbecue, like stuff like that. Like I've never lived anywhere where it's like such a huge community of like bass heads where like the artists are there, the fans are there, there's no middle line, and everybody just chills. Yep.
It's awesome. The community here is great and stuff, and there's always something to do.
Yeah.
Which is like awesome, but also like
it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Stuff done. Like in Florida, because I was just like not, even though it's hot as fuck outside, I'm not a fan of the heat, humidity, beach, like whatever. Like I would just stay inside. I'd go to the gym, I'd do my podcast, and I'd work on music. And now that I'm here, I'm just like, fuck, like all my money's gonna be gone. Like, here we go. But it's, it's also enjoying life, and like this is a really good quality of life. Like I was talking to Blunts when he was here the other day, and he's just like, this is one of my favorite places to come. And I was like, I get it. Like totally get it. And I feel like, do you like ski, snowboard?
No, I used to a bunch.
Should pick it up. You're gonna have to.
I hurt my knee, and now I'm like, too scared. I don't want to like do it, and then like be missing shows.
Lessons.
Yeah.
Small lessons.
I did go tubing though.
Oh really? Oh shit. Okay, cool. No, I love Copper. We're big snowboarders, so nice. I feel like it's gonna try and do the weekdays, because I went hiking this past weekend up in the mountains, and that traffic gets gnarly. Like you can just sit in that for like hours. I was like, okay, weekday trips. But overall, there's just like so much to do here, and I feel like as a music scene, it's just gonna keep like prospering. And like on the horizon for you, like not show wise, working on new music, working on a new EP.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, traveling, obviously, I'm really excited to go to Germany. It's like cool to do some like international
Are you doing a run of shows, or what's going on over there?
I'm playing Boot House with Borgo.
Boot House.
And then, which was like obviously like a bucket list for bass music. That's like a federal one. And then a festival called Nature One Festival over there, and Boot House is curating like a bass stage. So
that's
I think like Christian's on it, Lude, Dirty Phonics.
Oh, fire. Mostly international guys. So you're going to be like one of, because I know Rampage just happened. And that was cool to see so many like homies go over there and play. And then like you're going back. I feel like Germany is that hot spot for bass music.
Seems like Germany, Paris, and Budapest seem to be the spots.
Budapest is popping off too. It's just crazy. I've never been overseas yet. I'm like, music is gonna like take me there. But it's wild to see where it does pop off and where it doesn't pop off.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's crazy because like obviously Dubstep is like rooted in London and stuff, and like they still have shows, but like it seems like not as much as they used to host.
That's what Funke said. He said Funke's Chime, like they all live over in that kind of greater area. Yeah. And they just go, it used to be like the days with like I think like Skepta and like Scream and like all of those guys.
Scream, Banga.
Yeah, Banga. Yeah. That used to be like wild. That was the birth of everything. Yeah. And then it came over to the States, and I feel like every genre of music is going to look a little bit different overseas versus in the United States. Yeah. And, Kamirion and I were talking about like drum and bass, and he's like, drum and bass over here is going to look different than drum and bass overseas.
Absolutely.
100%.
Because we just commercialize everything over here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I get it. Like, I get from like an international perspective, I can't imagine going through the visa process and then still giving up half your money to like, in the United States. But the festivals, I would say besides Tomorrow World, which that stage looked fucking crazy. Yeah. It literally looked like it was like a scene out of Halo. Yeah. Like it looked like it. I was like, damn, is that really it? And my boyfriend, he's like into EDM, but like not like he doesn't work in like music or anything. He looked at it and was like, wow, that's cool as fuck. I was like, imagine seeing some fucking crazy artists on there, like techno, like all of that stuff. It's are you gonna go over and like chill for a while, or just coming back?
I'm gonna be there for a week, so I have 2 shows, so I'll have plenty of time to do some downtime, and I think I'm going with my manager, and we're just gonna hang out.
That's awesome. That's gonna be super cool.
I've been to Europe once, not for vacation, so this will be like a little bit of both.
Absolutely. And then as far as like your manager, have you been with him or her for like the duration of your career?
Yeah, I have 2 managers now, but my manager, Nate, I've been with him since the beginning.
That's awesome. Yep. I feel like that's like a rare situation where you get somebody from like the get-go who's like, hey, I believe in you. Because that's so important,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so important to have like a team that is like actively supporting your vision, where you want to go, there for you to push you forward. Definitely important, I feel like, as far as building a career that's sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, like when you like get to a point where you can like start financially like supporting yourself with music, then it gets to the point where you realize like you need to start going hard now for your team too. Like the people that believed in you before.
Yep.
It was so like that's like the next level of motivation and stuff, and then obviously from there, if you like your team's like doing well, then it's like okay, you use your platform to like, put on other artists.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's like what you see like Liquid and Excision and those like big giant artists that have those platforms and
I feel like that's
the step.
Yes,
things.
it's like the chronological stepping stone of being an act, because so many people don't realize how long your team really works for free before stuff actually starts to happen. And a lot of people, I think, if they do start on their own, they might not necessarily have that person until they have some of that momentum.
Yeah.
But it's also important, I feel like, as an artist, especially nowadays, to at least like know what every team member should be doing. Because I feel like the more that I see on the back end, the more that I kind of realize sometimes that artists who aren't knowledgeable about these roles and positions do get taken advantage of. And that's never a fun, situation to see happen to like a friend or a colleague or X, Y, and Z. And even with like exclusive label signings, like, did you exclusively sign with WAKAAN?
No.
Okay, because I know some people have who have been on the tours and stuff, but I wasn't sure if you did like, hey, I owe you guys X amount of music. That's awesome. Cool.
No, I wouldn't recommend for anyone to like exclusively.
I would say in EDM, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah.
You just never know, especially like labels. Like, it's a weird time for labels right now too. They never say die is like, it's done.
Yeah.
So
which is crazy to see as someone who's been interested and in the scene for so long, because Never Say Die was a staple.
Yeah, and that was like the hierarchy of heavy bass music.
Yeah.
That's like the god tier shit. And so
you were on Black Label or Round Table.
Yeah.
That was like the birthing into these two labels.
Those were like and now you've got like obviously like Subsidia, WAKAAN, Deadbeats, Disciple.
You have like even like smaller ones that are killing it, like Night Mode, Jodi Dalla. You've got
stuff's awesome.
Opio. You have so many.
Yeah.
You have like Good Vibrations. You have like Heaven Sent. You have there's just Lost in Dreams, Ophelia.
Yeah.
Like there's so fucking many. I mean, as you like,
Ballin'.
if you were, what is your stance now on releasing? Do you still feel like it's important for you to be a part of a label? Or do you feel like you're at a point where if you put in the proper release plan, time, marketing, X, Y, and Z, releasing independently may be the way to go with a distributor?
I think if you have enough of a platform that releasing independently can be like a great option. I think that when you're like an up and coming artist, labels can be a great option as well. I think one thing that like I tell people when they're looking at like labels and where they want to shop their music is like go look at the artists that are releasing on that label and see what the label is doing for that artist outside of just releasing their music. Like, are they putting that artist on tours? Are they putting them on shows? Are they like, is the label boss like supporting the music which they're releasing? Those are like important factors. But yeah, right now, I mean,
I feel like it's a crapshoot. I feel like you could definitely, because I mean, you're totally right. I feel like my whole thing or my approach to it was to get to a point where I could like put a little bit of music in the labels that I wanted to associate myself with and see if any of the labels put a foot forward to invest more in the project, i.e. do an advance, i.e., invest into a music video, put you on the Deadbeat shows, put you on whatever. And I feel like everybody's journey is obviously different.
Yeah.
However, it's really sad to see when an artist consistently gives music to a label that's giving nothing back.
Exactly.
And it's really hard because we're at a point too where, even at your level, I'm sure you're getting labels saying, hey, we're not releasing for another 6 months. Hey, we're not releasing for another year.
Yeah, they're just, the schedule releases are super like a lot of the bigger labels kind of have their like core artists that are like locked in.
Those are
like,
priority.
Yeah, they may not necessarily be looking for something newer or, which is just is what it is.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like even like Marion, who's saying about Jadi Dalla, like don't be afraid to send your music to not those A-tier labels, to those mid-tier labels, because a lot of the time they will put blood, sweat, tears, money into that release to make it the best it can. While if you go to a larger label, sometimes as a more up and coming artist, your song could be coming out the same day 5 other songs are coming out, and they're really going to just invest their money into the song that they know is going to do the best.
Yeah.
And your song just kind of gets lost in the sauce. And like, as a producer, like, every song you put into, like, it's at least a few, multi hours of work. Like, it's still time and like a part of yourself. And it's like, you want that song to be appreciated. You don't just want it to be like a part of a template art thing. And then like, that's it, you know? And I feel like now the more successful artists that you see do have that total vision encompassed, like the visual aspect, the right marketing plan. And it does take a while to get there. You have to do trial and error. You have to figure out what works and what doesn't work. But I do feel like the people who have a strong, bold grasp on their brand as well as their music are doing the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a total package.
Yes. Total package, 100%. And then like, tell me how like you got your brand. Because like you have the whole dinosaur thing, goes with the G-Rex. Like, are you huge fans of like Jurassic World or like dinosaurs, or like how did this come about?
It was like when I was in college originally, like me and my buddy were making mashups, and we were just like, what should we release this under? And we were just going back and forth, and I was like, what about like G-Rex? He's like, oh, that's cool, let's do that. And so I had that forever.
Yeah.
No background, no meaning.
Oh, that's
no
great.
anything. And it just developed over time. And it was like, okay, well, I want this brand to be like, part of me. So it's like, what do I love? And like what things do I like? And like, it's like, I love pop culture and I like horror movies.
Okay.
And so when I finally had a good logo made for me, that like the logo that I have now, I gave the artist the vision board with all these things like aesthetically that I really liked, and he just aced it, and then kind of went to the red and black color scheme. Yep. And then
it all falls in line.
It all just like, and then like the creepy horse, like the horse neigh, like creepy and just all this stuff, and like I had all these like little creepy laughs. I used to go through and like when I was like kind of really tuning into my sound, I would go on YouTube and look up like best up and coming horror movie trailers of like the next year. Okay. And I just YouTube to MP3 it and then drop it in Ableton and chop out little samples of just little vocal bits or like little tiny things and made a sample thing. And that's like how I made a lot of the stuff that I made in 2018. And just would use those tracks and stuff. That's fire. And just like, so the brand is like dinosaurs and horses and horror shit.
Love it.
Rap and chains and all it's all.
It falls in line with dubstep. It falls in line with the bass music, the like crazy. I remember when you played the show with Peekaboo in Seattle, right? And that really cool. You had that little upstairs bedroom, green room that you could look down into the venue. It was at Showbox, I think. And I remember you came on stage and you started playing rap music, and it was like everyone was like, "Okay, let's fucking go." Yeah. It always gets a crowd hype because I feel like dubstep people either love heavy rap or they love metal. Yeah. It's like one of the two.
Well, there's like the metal rap too.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff, especially like a lot of the stuff that's come from like Florida and shit, like Zillakami and Sasamula and all that City Morgue and Denzel Curry and all that, and Ghost Mains from like Miami. All that shit's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, no, it's Rolling Louds this weekend. I have like a few friends working it. Yeah. And that's always a shit show.
Incorporating that kind of heavy music, because a lot of that is so bass heavy too, and still can like
compete. It falls right in line.
It goes with the dubstep and like the like scary, creepy aesthetic, and it just works perfect.
No,
like,
that's
brewing that
super
together.
sick. Are you on Lost Lands this year or just Space Canyon?
Just Space Canyon.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Same.
Yep.
I feel like Lost Lands is one of those things where it's like, I feel like he has those staples and then like people rotate. It's like every other year you do this rotation, and I totally get it, because it'll be cool to see more bass festivals develop, like Forbidden Kingdom in Florida. That's been blowing up, which is really cool. I feel like Insomniacs is really taking like a standhold, because it's really just been the Excision Fest that have been like really massive bass festivals. Because I know there's like Wobbleland that does ones and Toxic Summer that does ones, but they're not like to the size that those outdoor fests are at yet.
Yeah, those are big money festivals.
Yeah, oh, 100%. I was talking to, I don't know who I was talking to. It was somebody on Excision's team, and he was telling me how everyone within like a mile radius he offers to like send them on a vacation. And like that's like amazing. I totally get that. If I was there, I'd be like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Vacation time. It's such like a family orientated festival too, where you don't see that in like Insomniacs or like big kind of corporations like Disco Donnie.
Yeah, he definitely did it the right way. Like started something absolutely amazing, and like all his festivals, and I've been blessed to be able to play on a good amount of them, and got to play on Paradise Blue this year, and that was
how was that?
Awesome.
Cancun, right?
Yeah.
So were you on the pool stage? Yeah.
Cool.
I remember just like those whirlpools and like people like moshing in the pool. I'm like, this is a mess. Yeah. Like this is a lot.
It was a great time.
I'm sure those families vacationing down there at the same time had a great experience.
No.
Yeah.
The first day there was like a little bit of overlap, and some of the like outsider family people like looked around like, what the fuck is going on, bro? Because you wouldn't expect that in Cancun.
Like you wouldn't expect it in Cancun. But it's just wild to see how his concepts are expanding. I had totally forgotten about Paradise Blue. It's just huge. And they're only just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this, I would say that dubstep and like the evolution of the scene isn't going anywhere.
No, it just keeps pushing forward and growing and whatnot.
Yep.
And it's not just like the music, it's just the community aspect of it that people really grasp onto. Some people like, I don't even know if they like the music, which is totally fine. They just like being a part of something.
Yeah.
And like a community where
cool.
they feel accepted, and that's like one of the coolest parts about it. It's
a very accepting community. I would say like the majority of people, just raves in general, watch out for each other. Because I was a big metalhead until I was like 18, 19. And then I was brought to a few raves, and I didn't like the music, but I did like the people. I was like, this is like way different than a regular concert setting. And then I kind of like, I was showed the right artists eventually, and I was like, okay, I fuck with this now. It was like R.L. Grimes' Void Tour. That was like when he did like the Warehouse tour. I was like, okay, this is it. I was like, this is it right fucking here. Like super, super, super dope. When does your tour with Buku start? September, October?
It's going to start in October, and I think it ends in like February. So it's a
wow.
It's a pretty.
You're going on tour.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one. It'll be like a fly-in, but a lot of it's really routed well, so we'll be able to drive from day to day. So that's going to be nice, especially with flight prices.
They're going down a little bit, but they're not down to where they were.
Yeah.
I've yet to buy my Montreal ticket, which is like $800. It's like so much. I'm like, oh my God. I feel like Denver though is like one of the best places that you can fly in and out of, because especially with like cancellations and all that stuff, there's like 10 flights that go here a day from any major destination.
I just wish it wasn't so far away.
I know.
It's kind of a hike.
Are you like, you're like 30?
Yeah, to drive it's like 25, but like usually I just take the train.
Well, I was about to say, now that I'm moving down here, I'm probably gonna try and take the train, but I don't know.
Easy.
Is it better?
It's easy.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have, especially if you have like rush hour and stuff, you don't have to worry about anything. And if you try to like Uber and Lyft, especially on peak time, it would be like $150 sometimes.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Because the Pikes Peak parking lot is like, I think it's like $8 a day, which is honestly really fucking good for airport parking. But also, like with the traffic, it's you just never. I have Clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I do that, but I know it's still even like if you go at a really weird hour, it's like not going to be open, and the lines for security. There's like 30,000 people or something that go through Denver Airport a day. It's crazy, which is insane.
Yeah, if you don't have clear in that airport and you're traveling consistently,
Godspeed.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Good fucking luck. I was like going to my dad's house, and I got there like 30 minutes before the doors for my flight opened. And I was like, closed. And I was like, can I do it? And I got there so late, and there like wasn't a line. But I was like, motherfucker, it's gonna be fucking crazy right now. Because it's like you have to take a tram too. Like in Tampa, you got like a one way. You're like you're out your gate in 10 minutes. Denver, it's like, okay, 30 minutes security, 10 minutes tram, find your gate. Like, yeah. But you know, there could definitely be worse things. Yeah. But that's super exciting. You're going on tour with Buku. That's gonna be fucking wild.
Yeah.
That'll be good. So that you're gonna hit the Ritz then on tour.
Oh no, I'm doing a solo.
You're doing solo at Ritz. Okay, when is that?
Next Friday.
Oh, exciting.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, hometown. I feel like that's where we met when I probably opened for you, which is exciting. Same old. Still a great fucking venue.
Yeah,
I can't wait to go back and play that venue. But okay, so before we go, I need 3 pieces of advice from you for up and coming producers that are interested in being in like the experimental space or just producers in general.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I guess for like up and coming, let's see. I think, like I said earlier, when you're in the early stages, just spending that time grinding and learning your tools is super important. That's a big thing. Let's see. I think the second thing, especially in the experimental lane, I think the music that's been the most impactful that I've made has been stuff that I've been the most uncomfortable with.
Okay.
Like sometimes just like questioning the simplicity of things like that and just being like, oh, like, is this just too simple though? But like that stuff's been the most like impactful stuff. So like in the experimental lane, sometimes being uncomfortable is how you like really break barriers to do cool things. It's probably the second. And then third, make sure your music's like danceable. Like, cause experimental music, sometimes you listen to it, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I can't even bob my head. I can't even like catch a beat on this. Like, so like, I think that's like a big thing too.
It's like, my dude, where's the drums? Yeah. Yeah.
For making dance music, you have to be able to dance to it. Like, I don't know, that's my personal thing. It's like totally cool if you're not and making something that's so left field, but I don't know if you want to like make dance music.
Yeah, right. You may want to make like ambient meditation music or like something of the sorts. No, those are great, awesome pieces of advice. Stoked for your tour. New music coming out soon.
Yes.
Lots of stuff going on. Okay. Ooh, so, awesome. Sweet. Yeah. We'll see each other at Base Canyon again. Absolutely. Probably at a show here.
Yep.
G-Rex, Jake, thank you for coming.